Sam Maloney, Breaking Records Radio, and the place to be. You are now watching actually the first episode of the new program, Toronto Time. I'm not going to talk too much about that. You guys, as you watch episode to episode, will kind of learn the format and kind of what it's all about. First off, my guest today, this guy's been killing it on the underground circuit, just absolutely murdering it consistently for, I say the last 6 years now.
Maybe 4 or 5, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. But your name's been popping up consistently. And, one thing I got to say about it is, I was always a fan of that boom bap hip hop. And I'm 30 years old right now. Right. And, but when I was coming up in high school and stuff, I wouldn't even listen to like the rap on the radio my friends are listening to. I was digging back into crates, listening to the 90s. And, I was one of those guys that's like, oh, fuck all that. Right. I've learned to appreciate everything in my older years, but it's really refreshing to see, collectives such as you and the Brown Bag Money and just everything, all the whole Renaissance type of movement going on. It's just very refreshing to see that type of hip hop is alive and well. And, there's no compromise for nothing, like at all. Cause when the labels were involved in the 90s, you got that raw hip hop, but there was still kind of elements of trying to push it to the masses. I love the fact with you guys that it's just so raw and authentic. And I think it's the hip hop a lot of people have been dying for years. So, with that said, I got to give it up for my man, Asun Eastwood.
Toma, salute.
Hey, man. So like I said, prior to the interview, we're going to start off kind of right in the beginning and we'll move forward kind of in concession like that. But so you were born in Belize, right? And moved here around when 2 months old, was it?
Yeah, I was about a year and change.
And when you moved here, because I know you moved around a lot just from watching different interviews and, things that in the music and stuff. Because you said initially your mom was conceived in British Columbia, right?
That's right.
So did you, when you first moved to Canada, did you move to the West Coast or was it right to Toronto off the bat?
Because she didn't even live in BC. She was just happened to be born there because my grandpa was on some business shit. And my grandma went when she was pregnant and she happened to be born there. So that really set the way. She had she's never been to BC in her life other than when she was born.
Oh, really?
So they went back to Belize, and at that, my grandpa on that side, he's like a principal, in those little countries, a principal could hold a lot of weight. You know what I mean? Yeah. He ended up being a politician later, but in that moment, he's like a principal. So traveling to another country, that's pretty big time for a little poverty, like a third world country. You know what I mean? So him going out there was just a moment. And my grandma was close to pregnancy. That's why she came. And they literally happened to have her there. And then she went back to Belize, raised him. She's Belizean, but she's Canadian first because she's born in Canadian soil. So that paved the way for me not moving to a place like New York City or California or Texas, where a lot of Florida, a lot of Belizeans are in those places. There's no Belizeans really in Canada, period. So that alone is the reason why I'm here, because naturally now she has me and she's looking for opportunity. She doesn't even have to get papers. It's like, yo, I'm Canadian. So now I bring my son over there I'm born in Belize. So it's easy for me to get my Canadian citizenship. My mom's Canadian, right? Yeah. So it's kind of crazy when you look at it holy shit, there's no other reason for me to be here.
And when you guys moved, did you come straight to the GTA area then?
Yeah, right away. VP. No, she lived in Malvern. She came to Malvern. She had some some people that her mom knew, and we stayed with them for a little while. My dad didn't come. My dad was he was over there in Belize still fucking around, and we were in. Honestly, I lived in all over the East my whole life. So went from there to VP in Eglinton, to I lived in Dower, Stonehill, Brattletown. Then I moved to the furthest outer east I ever went was Richmond Hill, but it was a co-op, so it's in Toronto how sometimes co-ops and Ontario housing works, they move you, right? Yeah. So going to a place like Richmond Hill felt like a culture shock sounding Richmond Hill, but it was all a whole bunch of people from the West in this. It was fully Black people amongst Italian people. It was really that I learned, I had a lot of living experiences there too, because there's 5%ers out there in that neighborhood. It was like a big co-op, and because there's no one like us around, we kind of stuck together. So it was really that's Berwick Crescent. So Berwick was really like a cool place. Like Julie Black lived in Berwick.
Oh wow.
Yeah, Julie Black, like Cardi used to be over there. Like I used to literally, because her mom was there most of the time. Like I think she moved out, but like we used to know when she's coming. And like Julie Black's coming, we used to go and line up and watch her because those music videos were out. Like, you know, you had a music video those times. It's like, what the fuck? So when I'm like, what, 12, 13, you know, seeing that type of experience, and it was dope. And then after that, we moved back east. And I lived in Pickering. I lived in Ajax. I lived east my whole life. Pickering, Ajax, and back to Scarborough, Bay Mills area, then to Malvern again, and then to where the fuck did I live? Brimley and Lawrence, and then Kingston and Lawrence, and all over from Galloway side to fucking Malvern side, which is crazy. But yeah.
Yo, that's crazy, man. And yeah. You know, like the reason I kind of went into that is because I want, one of the first things I want to ask is kind of like, what was the climate of Toronto in that time, and like the neighborhood like when you were coming up? And I guess that's kind of a hard question to answer because you were in so many different places.
I was always moving. And on top of that, I lived in Belize too. So like I went back to Belize too. So I went to a lot of public schools, and I think that's what affected me. I did a lot of crying when I was a kid, like a lot of fucking crying, bro. And, you know, it's my Pisces nature. And it's funny because when people hear I'm a Pisces, supposedly Pisces is the emotional one. I'm really not that no more. I think I learned how to bottle it. You know what I mean? Like I definitely, everyone's emotional. I think maybe the word is sensitive. I know how to bottle that sensitivity and deal with it with myself. When I was young, like imagine every school year, you gotta start again. You gotta every school year from grade 1 all the way.
Yeah.
To not till like grade 10, I think. And then I dropped out of school in grade 11. So I only had like maybe 2 to 3 years in one school, 2 years in one school, and that was high school. So it's like that type of movement as a kid makes you just like, fuck, like you get best friends and I'm out. There's one year I went to like 3 schools, get best friends, I'm out. But now that shows, when I reflect, that shows a quality that like I'm engaged. I have an aura that people just, I was never bullied or picked on or whatever. I could play ball, all that shit. Just, I became a people person because I kind of had to, you know what I mean? So yeah, with that being said, is like, yo, everything now, but now when it comes to like me repping a block, that's a harder thing to do because I'm going everywhere, you know, and then I'll know the people that might have stayed there for a long time. So I'll know the people over there and I'll come chill over there. You know, I'll go sleep over there. I'll go sleep over like Fury, Lord Fury. He's a dour man. And like, when I tell him like, yo, you were right in Stone, yo, I feel like I remember you. Like, you know, like, yeah, I was right there. I was in the same building as you. Like, you know what I mean? Like all these type of things is just, it's wild shit. So at the end of the day though, now as you grow into a man, now you're really looking to make those connections. Like I worked at, my first job was at Wonderland, Canada's Wonderland.
Oh, what?
That's like one of those, at that time, that was like the hub for connection. Like you're going to meet everyone from the east, everyone from the west, everyone from the north, everyone. And we're all like, I think I was like 15, maybe just turning 16 at that time. And that's like, now to get connections and network and plugs and all that bullshit, now you can say things like, yo, you know this person. So me moving so much allowed me to have like, hold a little weight in certain places. Like, okay, yeah, now I'm cool with this person. Oh, this guy knows this person? Yo, all right, now I can walk over there. So kind of, it worked out to be a dope thing in the end. So yeah.
It allows you to be able to, kind of operate in spaces where you may kind of had to be careful otherwise, right?
And I don't really have an opposition because it's like, I don't really got to be claimed. You know what I mean? It's like, yo, we fuck with them. That's it.
Yeah.
So it's a beautiful thing.
And kind of like to what you said too, is like, you know, I could very much see how like so much moving could force you to kind of be able to numb yourself to like, I think the word sensitivity, or like, you know, kind of bottle your emotions. Cause it's, you know, when it's so repetitive, it's like, all right, you know, it's a defense mechanism you set up for yourself. Right. But it's like, Sorry,
And then
sorry.
you get that shit. I remember in grade 3 when I cried on the first day, like in class, like yo, and my heart was broken. I like tears slipped out, like you know the little anger cry, like, and then they start teasing you, like later when you become cool with some people, and they're like, yo, you're the cry, shut up, you cried, and that shit is like, all right, I'm never crying again, like you know, I'm never gonna do that again. So that's where it kind of sets up. So it makes you tough, you know, and it's dope.
Definitely. And the other thing, you know, is like I like how you're able to look at it with a balance too, though, right? Because you're like,
Right.
you know what it did do? It gave me my people skills. It made me
Right.
able to walk into a room at anybody and just kind of,
Right.
I'm me
I,
and you're gonna respect me.
right. I had Russian best friends, Portuguese best friends, fucking obviously like Iranian and Chinese, and like I could say something in almost every language, like some bullshit. Like, you know, I could hit the te estes I could hit the fucking yo Fampea with the Chinese, like stupid shit, like just cursing, and I fart. Like, how do you say a fart word? Like, yo, you know, like stupid shit. So, and that shit stuck now, and that's what's dope. Like, Toronto's so multicultural already, but to actually experience it where I'm sleeping over at like the real Canadian kid. I'm sleeping over at the Irish kid that's like his dad's a Rangers fan, not a Celtic fan. Like, you know, I'm sleeping over at or Scottish. There's that Scottish. Like, I'm sleeping over at all these different places, and I'm like, yo, this is crazy shit. You know what I mean? And experiencing it and seeing these things, and I wouldn't change it for nothing.
And to actually, you know, live part of your childhood going back to Belize and stuff too, you add that in there, and it's like
Right.
the way you must have been cultured at such an early age, you know,
For sure.
that's a blessing.
And
That's one thing I wish to teach my daughter.
That's what's key, because I didn't have an identity crisis. Like, I knew I was Belizean. I get teased for like certain words I'd say, like, you know, like you know, like a West Indian, we speak Creole, would be like vegetable, or like I'd still have that in my vernacular. You know, I'd say mayonnaise, or a penguin, I'd say pingwing. Like, you know, we'd say stupid, and then someone would call you out. You know, that kid would be like, yo, what the fuck did you say? And it's like, that type of shit also builds tough skill, but identity. Like, I know okay, this is me. Let me own the shit and make my shit proud that I can represent something that may not be heard ever. And I want to do that. And then besides all that, now I'm mixing in with the cultures, and I'm going to identify with like, so now when I see, so the difference too, my dad really never accepted not that he didn't accept it, Spanish. He never kept Spanish in the home. So I didn't really learn it like that. And Puerto Ricans and Dominicans, that's not really a big culture in Toronto, right? So like that, being that we're mostly Caribbean, like identifying with the Jamaicans and the Trinis and the Guyanese, that made my shit so much easier. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, so easy. So it's like, there's so much, my dad speaks Creole, like, you know, the people are going to see, yo, your dad talks like that? Like, where are you from again? Belize? What's Belize? Where's Belize? Like, you know, it made people inquire, like, you know what I mean? Like, yo, you sure he's not Trini? You sure he's not Guyanese? Like, what? No, not that. You know, so it's cool. It was really cool.
And actually, another thing I thought was interesting too is like, you know, about like how you just mentioned, like, you know, we actually don't actually surprisingly have very much of a huge like Puerto Rican culture in Toronto. But another culture we don't have a whole lot of, which I found interesting in another interview. You said one of the neighborhoods you grew up in, you spent a lot of time around like NOI, like people who were 5% and Nation of Islam. Right. What was that experience like?
And that was the awakening. So like, now you come to a place where you see a community that's trying to uplift Black. And I never saw that, although there was Black in all the other communities. And it was such an American feel when I look at it now, but I didn't know that it was that, because there was American people that lived in this neighborhood. I'm talking about Berwick. So it was like, they were really actively, and the West End had, because if I believe it might be Knowledge, a brother Knowledge, I know Born King would know more about this stuff, and Fury would know more of this stuff, but a brother Knowledge, I believe, came down from the States, New York, or one of those places, and brought the knowledge over here, and they're hanging out in my neighborhood, you know, and now we got brothers handing out newspapers and, you know, the bow ties on and selling shit. Like, so when I see that in the States, and, you know, you hear Wu-Tang and all, now I'm just like identifying firsthand, not secondhand. So peace, God, like that's actually being said outside my door.
Yeah.
Not just in the music.
Were people
So
were you getting tested for your mathematics and all that too?
not really, because I was too young. But I seen brothers do getting tested, and that's why that was probably the last time I cried when I left that block, because that was like the most like, I got my people, I'm here, I'm learning, I'm literally opening the Quran, like I'm just getting started now. Like some brothers are telling me, you got to do a job here, and then when you learn your 120, like I was looking forward to learn these things, but I didn't stay there long enough to actually get it full hand. But I was at the age where it was being soaked up so much, because now you're in grade 7, grade 8, everything is like, everything. Grade 6, 7, and 8 was pretty much that time. I moved at the start of grade 8. So, but I'm still going back and sleeping over at my best friend's house and shit till like grade 9, grade 10. I never really, because we moved from there to Pickering, and Pickering was like, to me, like, what the fuck is Pickering? And then so at that time, to me, it was like, every chance I got, I never really created bonds. I never wanted to create bonds out here.
Yeah.
So I just always go back. I worked that it was the grade 9 year summer. I worked that whole summer in Wonderland, and I'd stay over there in Berwick. So that was a learning summer, a lot of trouble, a lot of freedom, no parents. I'm staying at my friend's house, a lot of freedom, making money, doing bullshit. And when I think about it, I'm like, really jumping off the porch, that's when I'm jumping off the porch. So I'd be like 14. So it's like, really? And then now you're learning all the shit. Like I'm learning like, C Cypher Punks, like you love this music, but you don't know what it means. And one of the brothers, salute Azar, salute knowledge, salute. There's certain dudes, and not that knowledge. There's another knowledge that was on the block too. Man, all these guys had me just learning. It was just starting, you know what I mean? And whatever I learned after, I took a little bit. And then now when I look at it, my best friends are NOI, like Uncle Doe's NOI fully, and like I have these people around me that are fully that. So I hear now, it's like constantly, like now I'm more aware of what I was starting to get. I'm getting fully, but I wouldn't consider myself 5% or Nation of Islam or nothing like that. I don't claim to that, but I understand the teachings, and I love the teachings.
It's almost like you can, because of being so cultured at such an early age, you can almost kind of take the best bits and pieces of all these different cultures that kind of resonate with who you truly are, and kind of incorporate all of them into the man you become, right?
Exactly what I did, because then now you got to figure, now my dad comes from Belize to Toronto, and his life that he was living is just a whole story of its own, that like now when he finds his understanding and his knowledge of self, he found it in Christianity. And because he did so much bullshit, he leaned into Christianity all of a sudden. So imagine me being a kid that's like, a certain lifestyle, and then maybe grade 7 hits, and now it's like, you're going to church every day.
Oh, wow.
So it's like a late blooming, and this is how you have to be in this. So that increased my rebellious side, right? But at the same time, I'm learning it, because my pops is no joke, very militant person. So seeing that is like, I'm reading that Bible full. I had to, regardless of how I wanted to register it, I had to. So then now when the Quran comes in at the same time, and I'm learning how the discipline is, and now I'm learning that from people that are closer to my age and closer to my culture as far as hip hop, everything seemed dope. Like, you got to wash your hands, like the discipline. You don't eat pork. You don't drink. You don't smoke. Like all the discipline is like, I'm seeing guys that I can relate to right away. So the attractiveness is right there, right? And black man is God and all this type of stuff. And I'm loving that shit. So later in life, though, you see a lot of what's real and what's not, right? Because I love the NOI and 5% and all that shit. It's empowering. And I think that's a great starting point. And just like Christianity could be a starting point, but there's a lot of jewels to a lot of things. That Bible has a lot of jewels, and man, like, yeah. I just I'm gathering the full cipher of everything and just taking it all in, and it's a dope ride. God has my back. That's what I truly know. God has. People could debate all about Jesus Christ and all these type of things, but God is real, and God has me. So and he's proven he has me over and over again. So I will never turn my back on God.
Yeah, and you know what? And I mean, that I don't want to sidetrack too much, but like, just very much what you said is very much how I feel too. Like, I believe that there's a higher force. I don't necessarily believe any one religion specifically encompasses who that is or what that power is. But if, and I know it's ironic coming from a fucking Irish guy, but if there was any religion that I ever felt was the most powerful, it's the 5%erism, that embodiment of even if it's the black man is God, it's just that what was the word you used? You used the perfect word for it, but just that self, like that confidence, instilling that confidence and just
knowledge of self.
Exactly, the knowledge of self, and to be able to say, like, you know, each individual is God. You are God. You are the God of your own destiny, and you, like, you know what I mean. And like, to me, if that's where I think all the other religions kind of threw me off, is where there's not as much as that. And like you said, there's jewels in all of them, but I think that's one thing, you know, and that's coming from a fucking Irish guy. You know what I mean? And
absolutely.
You know,
but it also shows how much hip hop culture has affected you too, right? Because you wouldn't have got that without hip hop culture. You wouldn't have even seen that, right? So that now made you curious because the culture is so powerful. So it all goes into everything, and that's how dope God is. God is real because he's gonna bring himself out in what maybe the public might or how mainstream tries to give its view as a negative thing, always feeding it that hip hop is negative and this and that. But look how much people have empowered themselves through that, and can't stop God, can't stop it.
No, exactly. And with that being said too, about like the 5%er and all that, oh shit, man, I forgot the point I was going to. So anyways, I'm gonna skip forward on that. Anyways, I'll just place that. I had something I was gonna say, and it's gonna come to me in 20 seconds, and I'm gonna be pissed.
Let it roll.
We'll just keep it moving. But so at that time too, now I know where I was going, so I'll cut that out. So do you think the teachings, like with the NOI and the 5%erism, because I've heard you actually refer to yourself in the past as a woo baby. So do you think it was having that direct influence in your life that made you resonate so much with specifically like Wu-Tang in your early years?
I think Wu came first. Like,
okay.
Wu really came first because like that, if it didn't come first, it came at the same. Finn is actually calling me. If it didn't come first, it came at the same time. Because if you think about it, 92, 93, because Jizza, 93, 10, grade 6, it's the same time. So like, it's hard for me to recollect in this time perfectly, but they're the same time. But obviously, as a kid, beyond religious, that's not going to grab me that way. It's the music. It's always the music. You know, my pops always had hip hop records. Like, we're West Indian, so you know, a lot of soca, a lot of rockers, which is like reggae and all that type of shit. That's what they called it. A lot of Byron Lee, all those type of things were being played and mostly played. But my pops kept a Ice-T vinyl that he'd play, Power. He'd keep a Run DMC vinyl. You know what I mean? LL Cool J vinyl, Beastie Boy. My dad had all that shit. My dad was, you know, even with the 20 CDs for a penny shit, like all those scams. I seen them in my name. Like, I seen my name getting mail. You know, when you're a kid and you get mail in your name, like, that's the craziest shit. Like, I got my first mail. Like, it was fucking 20 CDs from my dad. Like, you know what I mean? It was MC Hammer and all types of 95 South Boys and shit. all types of crazy different music. It's eclectic. We just love music. So before I understood what hip hop culture, what that Wu-Tang type of culture, it was just like music, man. And whether it was pop, I guess it might be considered, we listened to a lot of pop radio shit for the 80s and early 90s, but like reggae was really, there was no pop. It was what was given, what was on the street in Belize, like the reggae, the dance hall, you know, all the Beanie Man and all the everyone. Even my dad's a super Peter Tosh, you know, he loves Peter Tosh.
I heard you mention that before, actually.
Right.
He
thought he was Peter Tosh. Like, my pops was permanent hair. They, you know, have the, he still wants to go dread to this day. Like, he loves the Rasta. Supposedly, his claim to blackness his claim to my mom with the blackness, like I'm blacker on my side than my mom's black. Like, you know, so like my pops would be like, yo, my uncle, my great uncle is a Rasta. He's a dread. I seen him at this funeral. Like, that's his claim, you know? So it's just funny. Like, my culture is really, as much as I'm Spanish, it's never not been black. You know what I mean? That's what's funny. So it's like hard for me to understand. I never had that. What I hear now about like the differences of like, yo, you know, Latino, what is Afro Latino and all that type of shit. That confusion was never, I didn't know anything else. It was just like, yo, I'm Belizean, I'm black, you know? Other than that, it's like, yeah, my family on my dad's side Spanish, some of them speak Spanish, but when I'm around, they don't. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know, you know? I didn't know no different. I'm just a black kid that's lighter skinned than the black kid over there, you know?
And I think it's interesting too, like, you know, like even just you saying like, you know, you were always like, hip hop was always in the household, you know what I mean? Because obviously growing up, you know, Irish kid, I had to discover hip hop. You know, I discovered it my brother's CD, sneaking in his room. He's 12 years older than me. But I think it's cool that you kind of, you know, a package comes out, it's got your name on, you rip it open CDs for your pops and you're you know, LL, stuff like that. So it was just kind of like, it was just kind of regular to you. You know what I mean? Kind of natural. And it's almost like, as to where someone like myself has to go back and do the research and like learn to really love and appreciate everything from damn near Sugar Hill Gang all the way up to what's going on now. I got to learn everything and learn to appreciate it for its time. You kind of have a different advantage on it where like you can almost be like, yeah, LL's kind of corny. You know what I mean? Not saying that you can like look at it and be like, this shit was always kind of a rap. You know what I mean?
Now I'm going to give you your credit because even so, it was light. I didn't have an older brother. You got older brother that might have put you on the stuff, whatever, and say it's cool or not. Me, I didn't have someone living in hip hop culture. So when I talk to like Fury, who's older than me, he might be I'm not going to call out his age, but he might be like a good 7 year. He's living through the birth of hip hop in his prime years, like in a 12-year-old year. You know what I mean? So when he puts on joints and I don't know them, I'm like, I don't know that. And he's like, how don't you know this? You know? And I'll be like, yo, you got to know my pops is not no hip hop head. Like, you know, I'm moving around and whatever. No one's really going to put me onto this so you went and you said, I'm going to do the discovery. Me, I just been floating. So now when I go and do some discovery, I'm like, I don't even want to listen to this shit right now. Like, it's so pass me hard. And then they just, Merciless and Fury, they just fucking make fun of me all day. Like, yo, you don't know this shit? I'm like, yo, fuck off, man. I know what I need to know. And that's what coming with a certain age, right? I'd love to come up in hip hop. Like, imagine being fucking 12 years old in 1983.
Right?
12 years old in 1984, 85. Like, I was born then. So, like
imagine high school year. You're going into high school the year of, and it's like, LL Cool J is hard as
of course. That'd be crazy. Right? Imagine hearing that the first time and you just heard it. That's crazy. So for me to go back, like I could go back and do the research, it just won't be the same. It'll be like, yeah, okay, but it's dated now. You know what I mean? Yeah. So yeah. But I rate you for doing it. And you guys are the torch carriers because you're doing a bigger job. When I hear you're 30, I'm like, oh shit. Like you probably know more than I do, to be honest.
I don't know if I say that. I don't know if to say that because there's nothing can teach you better than experience. I can go back and do all the research I want, but it's exactly what you just said about like Fury and Merciless. There's nothing that can replace the experience of being there and living through it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, living experience.
What it was.
Within my culture, right. But if we were talking trivia though, you might still win though. You know what I mean? That's the difference. I might not know that you're like, nah, I don't even remember that shit. Like I was high. You know? It might even be shit from 95 where I was in my prime. Like, oh, it's high. Like, you know, I didn't pay attention to that. Like I said, so a lot of my dudes, like Mobb Deep was their shit, right? My shit was Wu-Tang. So even though I listened to Mobb Deep, I didn't listen to Mobb Deep like how they listen to I listened to Wu-Tang like how they listen to Wu-Tang. Like how they listen to Mobb Deep. So like even that battle, like, you know, like certain, like they're a little sleepy, like, what's the best song? And, you know, I'll say that like, you're crazy. What about this? And yo, on the 41st side, like this joint. And I'd be like, yo, yeah, okay, yeah, I hear you. But I wasn't ODing on that shit. I was ODing on my. I'd give you a remedy track. Like I give you the Jewish nigga doing some shit. You know what I mean? Like I would be all over the place where you don't even know this shit, right? And that's the difference, right? So
and I gotta ask you this. This is completely unrelated to our interview, but just as a hip hop head to another Wu fan, do you think it may be one of the biggest disservices hip hop ever had? The fact that Inspector Deck's debut album got ruined in that flood.
And the flood is just because really, I just had this conversation with Merce and them just the other day. We had this conversation. Inspector Deck might be the best one.
Yes.
He might be the best one if that doesn't happen.
Right? I think he technically is the best MC in the group.
Technically, absolutely. Yeah. But if he got that production right, and then
the timing too.
Even beyond the timing, even if the production was just better of what that time was, because if you think about Raekwon stole a lot of probably people's shit. That Raekwon was a smart one, like, yo, let me take that one for me. Let me take that one for me.
Yeah.
Right? So Meth, and then on top of that time around Deck, you got Tikal 2000. Like we were waiting for the second Tikal for so long. I don't know if it was even going to be Tikal 2001 originally. It was like waiting for that even prioritized more than Deck. Deck lost so much in that time that is like Meth became this big star, and man, it's so unfortunate. That flood fucked everything up, man. And then you get to relive it with the show, and like, oh shit, yeah. They didn't even get to that part yet, I don't think.
See, and I haven't even watched the show yet, actually. But I've always just thought, like, because, I've always, once again, as someone who has to do discovery, I'm always like, how did Deck not get bigger? Right. Like, he had the best verse on literally every true record from Forever to, like him and Raekwon are comparable on Cream, but aside from that, Deck had best verse on every other record.
Every big record, it was Deck, for sure. 100%.
And it always boggled me. It always boggled me how he didn't. And then when I learned it, it's crazy, man. Like hip hop probably would be a little bit different today if that album never got destroyed.
That's circumstance, man. That's just how shit is. It's like, and that's what happens when you get older. You start looking at stuff with time. Like I'm a basketball dude too, so I was listening to T-Mac talk about like, yo, getting traded from the Raptors, and the promise he got was fucking Tim Duncan, and Grant Hill was supposed to be on Orlando. Grant Hill did get traded, but he was injured. But Tim Duncan, like, you just start thinking about how time would have changed. Like, you would have changed the whole. T-Mac might be the nastiest dude after fucking maybe even more than Kobe. Like, you start thinking about all these things, and it's like, yo, one thing changes, and it's like, is that God's plan, or is that just did someone make a wrong step? I think that because like even in Bible now, we could go back to Bible, it's like freedom of choice. Yeah, something free will, right? But then if you believe that everything's already set, how do you have free will if everything's almost pre to reach your thing? I believe that it's like those books where you select a fucking mission. Like I might still end up into that direction, but I took these two turns when I could have did this one and still ended up there, but the way I went. And that's just how I see it. Like T-Mac is still a legend. Maybe if he would have went to the next level, he would have died a different way. You know what I mean? Like, it's irony. I like thinking that deep sometimes. That's why I don't sleep. That's why I got money back.
It's funny you said that, man, because that's exactly how I view the world. I believe everything's kind of set out and planned, but it's on you to follow your destiny. And if you don't follow your destiny, there's somebody next in line ready to, and their destiny's predetermined basically to fill the void that you were supposed to be. You know what I mean? Like, I very much of that belief. And that's why, one of my favorite sayings is, basically like success is when hard work and luck intersect. You know what I mean?
100%.
Because it's like you gotta be working hard. That opportunity comes, recognize the opportunity and take it for it to launch you forward.
If it was predetermined, we just sit there and just let shit happen. Like we can't do that. You gotta work.
Yeah, if you don't work, it's not getting. You could be the greatest motherfucker in the world, but it ain't happening for you.
Don't matter. Yeah.
Facts, man. But I know we kind of I got a sidetrack with the Deck thing. I'll keep it back in motion. But I had to ask that once we started.
No doubt.
But so at the time, I know you're really heavy in the Wu. I think I heard you in an interview say once that like the Walkman, Redman, What the Album was one of the first tapes you remember bumping. But I was curious, like at that time, I know Toronto, you know, especially nowadays, a lot of people kind of overlook this era of Toronto hip hop. But can you kind of talk a little bit about like what the climate in the city was musically at that time as well, too?
Yeah. So like when I say this is where I get clowned the most from Fury and Merciless. Like I know, so the climate of hip hop was just wherever it was for me. Like I'm gonna watch the mix. I'm gonna watch what's on TV. No super like Julie Black, like I told you, was the star in my area at that time where I was at that time of consciously knowing that like there's a person that's rapping from my neighborhood. And like Choclair had track with Choclair and shit. And like, you know, seeing Cardi. And then you see all these other videos, all these ghetto concept. You see all these other people, but they didn't seem close to me still. So
Okay.
I was just infatuated with fucking Wu-Tang, bro. I was just so infatuated with that it didn't feel close to me. It just didn't feel like, no, I think the wrong word is close to me. It felt like they weren't close to it.
Yeah.
To me.
Yeah.
And that's really, it's going to be disrespectful, really. But like, I didn't have an ear for that. You know what I mean? My ear was for that. I didn't want to hear Mobb Deep. I wanted to hear that shit. Even when I heard Snoop, like, what's that? You know what I mean? Like, I had an ear for that. Toronto was never really moving me like that at that time. So maybe now we go fast forward and you go into like my 15-year-old age, maybe, and now you start seeing those guys come and you start seeing like you understand what Mishimi is. You understand what you might see Jellystone. Be like, oh shit, like this guy's going. You know what I mean? You might see these guys like Bush Life and IRS, and you see these things, and now Brass Monk, and you see Socrates, and you see these people, right? So you start seeing all these things, and it's like, yo, okay, like someone's gonna do this. You know what I mean? Like this is dope. Socrates is really dope to me. I thought he was gone. Like Socrates is gonna be the one. Cardi, actually, obviously, you know what I mean?
A lot of people actually say that. A lot of people I talk old school 100%. Toronto hip hop always say like at that time everybody was convinced Sox was 100%
out of here. And then you start thinking about like, I swear he's Def Jam and all types of like, you heard the Redman shit. He was fucking with Redman, and you know, so like now you're looking back of like, yo, this guy's next to people that whenever you thought about getting next to, like, you know what I mean? So it's like, you see these things, and then like you've got to know my 17-year-old, what 17 would be like 2000, and then you start ushering into like the Dipset vibes and the 50 Cent vibes, right? Although I was still Supreme Clienteling at that point. I was still in my mode, you know what I mean? Maybe some jigger here and there, but I was in my fucking Ghostface 100% bag. Like,
yeah,
that's him. You know, that's who I want to be. No other word, no shame in that. That's who I want to be, right? So like, you start seeing these things, and it's like, all right, who's that guy out here? You know what I mean? And then it's just, I don't know. I just felt like maybe it's I felt like image-wise or whatever they're talking about, I do that for real. So if I really wanted to rap, I could do that for real. And I never really took rap, like my dude Chops, rest in peace, he kind of brought me into that world of like, yo, you should do this. Like, you know, I always freestyle and fuck around. And then like my dudes, Kem and Doc, they were part of 2020 Brothers Grimm Empire. They're a section off of Empire, right?
Oh, word.
Kem and Doc, Brothers Grimm, I don't know if you ever heard their thing. NBS was the tape. It was dope. They can rap their ass off. And being around that, now there's a competition to it where like basketball started to fall off for me. I was in an era, I was just talking about this yesterday too. I was in an era where they stopped sports in the school. It was like a strike. So we had no sports in my grade from grade 10 to like grade 11 or 12. And then they brought it back. But by that time, for someone like me, it was too late. I lost interest in school. I had nothing really to go for. And then so now the competitive thing now is like, maybe this rap shit is the competitive part that's feeding that part, right? So like now I'm starting to write. I'm starting to hit a studio here and there with people, but I'm the competitive guy that like I don't even want to show people like that until I got it, you know, till I got something. But I'm also brave. Like I always, and there's the other thing. I always did talent shows. Like even though and this is how much confidence I really had, and I didn't really understand that I had that. Like sometimes you have to reflect. There's like grade 5, I'd be in a talent show. Grade 7, I'd be in a talent show. Grade 8, grade 9, I'd always be new, but I'd enter the talent show.
That's what I was gonna say. That's in front of new schools, so that says a lot. New
schools. I won a speech competition in one school, and then I'm going grade 7. Like I'm doing fucking like whatever track was out. I told him I remember I did the 112. Mace and Biggie. I did Biggie's part. I know I did Mace's part. You can hum all you want to, come all you want to. Like I was doing that part in the friggin', you know, in the talent show, you know. But then when I entered grade 9, we were rapping our own shit, and it was like that shit was like grade 9, grade 10. No, it's grade 10. We're rapping our own shit. And then it's like, yo, this shit. Even though I wasn't good enough, it's like, yo, I'm good enough in my head. So I had the bravado to be good enough, but not the shit together to be good enough. I wasn't a good rapper. I hear some other shit that I record. I'm like, holy shit, this is terrible. But I had the bravado, and I was using that. Like my shit was all machismo. I didn't really project my voice as yo, man, talking a whole bunch of shit. And what it shows me though is that this is what I need. This is who I am. I can't run from it. I can't do this shit. So now when I come to this age of like Griselda time, I don't even know if you asked me this question, but we're here. When you come to Griselda time, it's like, yo, I've been working on this craft for so long by then at that point, but I never thought about rap again. I was like, yo, look at this. These niggas gotta be my age. Just how they're rapping, they gotta be my age. And now come to see they're exactly my age. And now all these guys that are there that are like rejuvenating this thing, there's now a whole other wave of kids that are like, not kids, but 33 men, 32, 31, 30. And then that's going to breed another 25s. I know some 25s that are around me right now that are going crazy. And I'm like, oh shit, watch when they hear you. This is going to be crazy. So then now I'm seeing like what this was meant to be. So people look at success in a way of like, oh, it's Drake, it's Jigga. It's not that. Success is legacy. So like we're talking about Brass Monk, like we're talking about Socrates, like we're talking about these people. Maybe half the people listening to this interview, if you got a lot of American viewers, they have no fucking clue of who these people are. But these people were giants in a small pond, right? So sometimes being a giant in a small pond can make you a certain level in a bigger ocean if you have other hustles attached to it. So I'm not just solely, to me, I'm perfecting rap still, and I'm fucking, anything you've heard is a whole nother level now too, because I'm hungry, right? I can't stop that part of me, that's part of my soul. I'm gonna feed that. I've been feeding that even when you weren't hearing who I was, but I'm also hungry to be elite. So like getting money and getting the things that I want, the accumulation that makes you, oh, you know, I own a business, I own this, I have a couple houses here and this and property there. That shit is not just rap, even if you perceive it as rap. Yeah. So Jigga and Drake, all those guys, they're giants and their doors are bigger to walk through for different type of things. But in my door, it might be small, but I'm making it bigger every time. So I'm gonna be a king out here. I am a king out here. That's how I see it right now.
No doubt, 100%. You know, you're definitely we're talking lyricists. You're carrying the city on the back, man. There's you, and you know, I don't want to disrespect nobody, so I'm not gonna number how many there are, but there's not a whole lot, and there's no disrespect to any of the subgenres of hip hop going on. But as far as like people who make me think when they rap, you are in a small elite group of few with not too many others, my friend. But there's a couple things you said there actually I found interesting. So I want to try to dial it back so I don't forget this one. But when you're actually kind of talking about the Toronto thing, and you're saying like, you know, Julie Black would be in the neighborhood, Cardinal, so like you could see them and you could kind of almost relate with them a bit, right? Because you can see them, kind of feel it, it's real. But some of the other guys, it just didn't quite resonate with you, and I can't remember the exact way you worded it, but saying like it almost wasn't close to home, and it's kind of. See, and I never thought of it like that, right? Because I didn't grow up in Toronto. I moved here later. When I'm viewing much music and stuff, I'm assuming like this Toronto hip hop scene is just the scene, right?
Right.
That quick.
Right. But it is the scene. That's the thing. Like if I was Fury's age, it is the scene. You know what I mean?
But like, coming from even younger standpoint,
people in my neighborhood, they're going to those parties. They're going, like, the experiences they tell me about that. Like I seen DJ Carlos, he put up a thing of Biggie's one and only time out here, and he did like 2 songs.
Yeah.
And it's like, imagine being there in that building. You know what I mean? And maybe there might be a 15, 14-year-old kid in that building. Maybe I might have been 10 or 11 at that point, but there might be that kid. Like in New York, there is that kid in the building. You know what I mean? That's 11 or 12. But I think my parents would have had me under different type of discipline. You know, I still wasn't crazy running around. You know, I had a 2-parent household that at that age, I couldn't get away with that shit. But it was happening. It was still happening. Like Fury and those guys, they tell me experiences of like what was happening. It's been out here. Right. Yep. And especially reggae led, like the reggae artists are going to come out here. There's a scene, there's money to get. We have a big city. So we're going to see them. But I wish, just like you're saying, I wish I was out here like that. That time.
But I think it's interesting, you know, like because age, plays a huge proximity to it. Right. But I just think you know, just to hear it kind of from the inside, you know, your age bracket coming up in that scene and how somebody in your age bracket would view it opposed to somebody like Fury. You know, I've talked to Fury on the show once before. Shout out to Fury, friend of the show. He's one of the funniest motherfuckers I've ever met. Shout out to Fury.
Legendary.
But, you know, and it's just the different vantage points you get. So that's why I found it really interesting how you said it, because it's like, you know, and I guess the point I was going to is like, it just shows how multicultural Toronto as a city really is, right? Because every neighborhood, every end of the city, it's almost like a different way of life. You know what I mean? The people there, the culture's there. It's like, you know, so like being 15, 16, seeing, you know, maybe like Shot Clear on TV, you might be like, I don't quite resonate with that. You know what I mean? Where's he from? You know what I mean? So it's interesting to hear you say that. You know? I found that really interesting.
Right.
And another thing I did want to touch on out of what you had said there too, is you talked about how you kind of when you first started freestyling and stuff like that, right? And, you know, entering the talent shows and stuff like that. When did you first really kind of, because I know that it was later on, you know, like in this serious run when you really started hammering out music. But when did you actually first really start to like write and like actually be like, yo, you know what? You know, whether it was something you wanted to pursue or not, but be like, yo, I'm a rapper and I'm actively honing my skills.
Yeah. So I would say, I was part of this, I'd say it'd be Loose Cannon's time. So it'd be 2000, maybe 2000, 2001. No, 18, 19, 20. 20 would be 03. No, it'd be 03. I'd say 03. I was part of this crew called Loose Cannons. It was D Brown, G White, Ruger. It was a brother named Virus. I think what did he go by? P Dollars. And my dude Chops. And these guys are like, you know, some people that know Toronto hip hop or know Toronto at that time did know who these guys are. I think D Brown goes by Captain Hooks now. So these guys are out here and it was on behalf of my dude Chops. And this time I was like, me and Chops were recording a lot. We had a thing called Black Mafia. Like this was our own little makeup squad, you know, and we were really just like a yin and yang. You know, Chops was a grimy nigga, like at presentation wise, like, you know, just rugged, fucking, I don't give a fuck. Me, I always been like everything clean. I love gear. I love all that shit. I was always at, yo, I'm gonna have the new whip. I'm gonna have that shit at that age. So like that came out in the rapping, and he's like, I need you because you're this person to me, you know? And it's funny. Actually, this dude, I'm not even gonna say who, but this dude, I was smashing his girl or something, and he started beefing chops or something, and it was like on some shit like, yo, I'm gonna diss him and send a track with the girl, you know? And Chad's like, yo, you're really in that bag? Like, yeah, let's do it. And that was really one of the first, like I sent the thing, and that caused like a whole drama where we're like, yo, what the fuck? You said this, the girl just gave him the CD not knowing what it really was, and they played the CD in front of like all their friends or whatever. And it was some shit. And then it was like who's this dude? And that's where D Brown heard, like, yo, I wanna have these guys a part of Loose Cannons. And that's where it started. I was like, yo, I don't fuck with those guys. Like he knows those guys, I don't fuck with them. And Chaps was like, yo, just come through. And I remember I came through, and I remember politicking with my dad. At this time I was in a whole different world. Me and my pops were in a different place of a different lifestyle, and we're really close. And my pops is like, yeah, it's like that. Yo, you know, bring a little thing and tell them. They're like, you know, maybe if music is your thing that you want to do, maybe it's music. But what you're gonna do is let them know that this is not this. So when you go there, you're gonna say, if there's, because it was like a contract, we had management, everything. So he's like, any disrespect that the crew receives, that doesn't involve us. And whatever things we're involved in doesn't involve them. Just make that point very clear. My pops understood what hip hop was about. Mm-hmm. So I went in that first meeting, and I was just like, yo, I pulled out the shit, I put it on the table, and I'm like, yo, you see this thing right here? That doesn't revolve us. Like me and Chops are our own thing. So I'm not taking on, I don't know who you guys are. I don't know what you're about, but I know we're going to be a crew, but I'm going to make this apparent right here. So that created now energy, but the D Brown dude was kind of like the main guy, and there's a couple other guys, I guess, that were supposed to come up, and then we go do shows. We opened up for like, we opened up for fucking Young Jock. We opened up for fucking, who else we opened up for? G5 and those guys won like 93.5 had like a competition. And you get a music deal or some shit, and these guys won these things, and we opened up for them. Plus Mo, salute Plus Mo. These guys, and then fucking we go there, and like we'd have all the support. Black Mafia, us too. And it would be just such a vibe that like now it was gonna go D Brown then us. And from that point, the whole group kind of broke up. And it was just a bunch of ego shit. So when I saw that, I was making the most money in my life at that time. So when I saw that, I'm like, music ain't shit. Like, fuck music. This doesn't make sense. These guys are all, in my mind, not credible to what they're talking about. And I am, and I don't need it. So let's just keep it moving. And Chops always did his thing. Chops messed with like Peter Jackson, and he's messing around with those type of people and shit. I don't really care. And but in the dark, I was here writing, recording, going to Sunny Diamonds, recording, writing.
Oh, so you were still recording in this era too?
100%. I have them all. Yeah. They're not mixed. I have them all. My dude C's, shout out C's. C's has the whole hard drive. He's like, yo, you're crazy. So like when you think about now coming fast forward, Chops dies maybe like 2014, 2013. And like we did like a song. G5 invited me to do like a song for him, and we did a video, and they did the video and the song. Yeah, so that came out, and I was at a level where they didn't know I was at yet. My voice wasn't projecting the way that I do now, but the bars were all there. It was all hit. The cadence was there. So that was like dropping that little video just locally around and going thing like, yo, we had like a little benefit where we raised some money from. It's like, yo, you killed that. Yo, you killed that. Yo, you got the body on that one. So having that feedback, and Chops to me was always the nastiest one out of all of us. That feedback was now feeding me, but I didn't know where it was feeding me to. So I just kept on writing. So now when we come back, now you probably know the rest of the story, but 2016, now we come around those times, and those showing me fucking Griselda shit and NBA All-Stars in Toronto, and I'm feeling like a fucking star. And he's like, yo, you should rap. And I'm like, yo, I should fucking rap. You know, like I am that guy, you know? And I'm hearing what's coming. I'm like, oh, I do. If you could get me production like this, I'm fucking rapping. And snowball it all. And we're here right now.
Yo, it's crazy, man. And you kind of opened right up into the next segment, but I do want to brush back a little bit before we crack that wide open. So do you find that as well too, like when you were recording in that time and not really releasing nothing, just honing your skill, was that something you're consciously doing, or did it have partially to do with maybe like, because I know at that time in hip hop, like 2008 to like 2015, I was very discouraged because, like I said, I love that 90s hip hop and stuff, and I had to learn to appreciate new hip hop. But just seeing everything that was becoming popular, like, yo, you want to hear something wild, bro? I might cut this out of the interview, but just to tell you where I'm coming from. I went to an OVO fest one year and I cried because I'm like, just all the guests that came out, I'm like, this is not the hip hop I felt. This is something different these days. And it was one of the most discouraging nights of my life. I think I was in like 2016, 2017. And it was like one of those moments where it's like, I don't think I've ever felt lower about hip hop. And it's no disrespect to the dudes on stage, but it was just discouragement of where the music was at. Do you think that there was a little bit of that as well when you were recording and kind of just 100%. Keeping it to yourself? Yeah.
There's no place for me, right? There's no place for me. And then you're talking about the exact era. You're thinking about Jeezy. You're thinking about Gucci, man. Like, I listened to all that shit. I fucked with Gucci. I used to kill Gucci and Waka Flocka when they came out. I had 12s in my fucking my 3.2 TL. I fucking had the Pioneer fucking TV coming out, playing the videos while I'm driving. And, you know, before that time of like, this is what it is. This is fly shit. And I'm playing those joints because they're hidden. But I'm still here. I'm a woo baby. I'm still here. This is my ventilation. For one, wasn't consciously saying, yo, I'm going to be in hip hop or at all. It was not conscious. It was all like, yo, when I come home to my condo by myself, in 08, I got shot. I relocated and I got a condo because I had a house at the first and I was just partying at those times. And getting shot was a time where now, like, okay, some things got to change, but some things don't got to change because I still got to get money out here. So it was a lot of changes, but like I went a little more low key and the circle got a little bit tighter. So I got a condo, and that condo was really like I always had people around me before the condo. Always people in and out, boom, boom. My place was the place. That cut. And what I have, my thoughts, a lot of them. So for me to feel and I guess now would be depression. I wasn't thinking depression, but to stay away from that was just fucking writing. I had pages. I'd go on my laptop and just fucking put on instrumental. I wasn't even with the pen and pad, just already doing what I do now with this. At that time, just on the computer, and I had millions, and just using beats of a time before, and even go recording over those beats. And this is like when mixtape now is not even the thing no more.
Yeah,
like those not rapping over people's beats. That was already starting to come out. You know, and Action Bronson's maybe what, 2012, 2010 maybe, like. So like 2008, that was an in-between time. I wasn't showing nobody that. I didn't have nothing, no ambition towards that. That was just me, just for my health. That's all it was. So, but at the same time, I was sharpening that steel, and no one around me was really rapping that serious, like trying to do it. I know Fury and those guys were out here, but like no one I knew like that was in my generation to push me that way, like was really doing that. You know what I mean? And my, like, there's people you see that I do tracks with from Toronto and the city, like the Daniel son, like those aren't my people like that. Like I know him off music, right? My people, none of them rap. They all look at me still sometimes like, yo, nigga, what are you doing? Like, not no more because they see what I'm doing, but like 2017, 2018, like, yo, you're going to give up what you're doing for that? Like, you think you're going to get money? And then, you know, some vinyl deals and some vinyl sold and some things happening and who I'm working with. Okay, do what you're doing, man. You're killing. You know, your shit's happening. So that hey, it's supposed to happen how it happened.
Yo, most definitely, man. And actually, you know, and that's super interesting, man. The story, you know, it's super interesting and super inspiring, to be honest. Like, you know, just kind of the process and route you took, because
right.
you know, like you like you said, you were rapping back. You know, you could have came out in that era, and but you know what I mean.
Right.
But the kind of, you know, I think it's a testament, actually, you know, because a lot of people, you know, they dream of this, they want this, they work for it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm one of those kids. I grew up, you know, as soon as I put my mind to like, yo, I'm gonna do something in hip hop, I've worked towards it every day since that day. You know what I mean? But I think there's also the other side of that where you still work towards it every day, but your goals are different. So it kept an authenticity to you that a lot of artists by this age are jaded by. You know what I mean? They don't have
100%. You see what you're touching on? This is the difference between me and Shahaps wanted to be a rapper from I met him the first day. I'm going to be a rapper. He wasn't on the ball court. That's why that's our like yin and yang all the time. Like I'd be playing ball, you know?
Yeah.
I'm doing this grimy shit because I'm gonna add it to my rap. Like, you know, like he almost had that mentality already. So seeing that, and then when he passes now, where it's like, I'm never gonna do this again, but his passing is the reason why I'm doing it again in a certain way to honor him. To have to just come in to do it again, like I never thought I'd do it with. Like he has the vision to me. He had the thought of wanting to really, you know what you're gonna do. You know you're gonna go. He went to New York. He went in all these places. He's doing all types of shit, writing for people. He's caught up with a whole bunch of people in the industry, whatever. That wasn't even Toronto shit, and he died. And it's crazy because that's why I can remain raw. Like now, my advantage is at this age, I have the whole story to tell.
Yeah.
No one's saying that. And I'm not even close to running out. So my pace can be so stupid, like, and get better because now I'm out of an age where it's like, oh shit. Naturally, like when you're a kid, you might just be raw. Now I can like fill in. I'm not just gonna talking about fucking what other experiences do you have when you're young? Like, you know, fucking maybe like you sold some drugs, maybe
sold some drugs, got in some fights, had some sex.
Now I see it all of that before, in the moment, and after the moment. So I could live all of it, right? The downfalls, the ups, downs, it's all there. So I'm not gonna run out. I've 39 years of it. So, and you just got what? Maybe I have like 8 albums and a whole shitload of features, 7 joints, whole shitload of features, and they haven't got nothing yet. Nothing. So it's like, it's dope knowing that. So it is an advantage. That's my definite advantage.
Definitely, man. And with that being said, it's the perfect way to kind of usher in once you really start just hammering it out. And you got, like, as you already mentioned, you know, and I know you mentioned every interview, you know, kind of when you got put onto the Conway and West Side Gun, you're like, yo, like you said, give me beats like these, I'm gonna tear shit up. And I think it was really, really, really dope that you see, and at the time, and you may not even at this point still see it in yourself as saying it was foresight, but to somebody on the outside looking in, I can say like, yo, you had the foresight to know that Conway was somebody you needed to work with. And I remember you saying in one of your interviews, 100%. It's like, yo, we made it work. My dude had done beats for him. We got it right. He was like, yo, let's do it. Sent him 3 joints. He's like, they're all dope. I'm like, fuck it, let's just do all 3. And you're like, and I kept those as little, you know, Easter eggs, and I planted them throughout things. But like the foresight to, because at that time, that's before the Shady deal.
Way before.
Like just that foresight to like be like, you know what? I have a feeling that this is going to be important enough for me to spread this thing. Like, dog, that's like, that's a different type of foresight. And I think maybe that in turn kind of comes with the experience too, but it's just to even be able to know how important that was, like that's huge, bro.
And that's why even added to the age now that I'm allowed, because at the same time, $2,500 for 3 verses, let's say, boom. When I was 21, let's say, the access to someone that's on the precipice, or if I want to work with someone and I gave them 25, like I didn't believe in, I wouldn't do that $2,500 like nothing, because it wouldn't have mattered so much. You understand? You're living in the time so much. It's like, who cares? So me, as small as $2,500 is, it's like, yo, I want this, and I'm going to use a cheat code, because I have access, and I'm gonna get whoever I get. Sky Zoo was another one I got. All these guys, I got all these little features. I'm like, fuck it. Like, yo, this is nothing. This is what it is. If this turns out to where I could see it turning out, let's just fucking go hard. And I'm not where I am, where I want to be at that point, and I knew it, but I'm gonna use that anyway as a whatever, just to get a little noise. And I was just watching. I'm an examiner. I'm a studier. So then that comes to Danielson. Now I'm gonna, there's a guy in Toronto that raps like this. That's good. All right. Let me go search him out. I'm going to go holler at him. I'm going to go push the button. I'm going to go make this happen. And then now you're starting to see these things come around, and it's dope.
I think it speaks to the mentality in you too. You know what I mean? Like, just to be able to, like, you know, like you said, it's like 2,500, you know, whatever, use these connections and stuff. But just to even like be like, okay, you know what? But we're going to release it like this. We're going to span it like this. Like, even the idea of like, how you've been releasing projects, like 2 albums in 2017, right off the jump, right? Like, instead of, that could have been one big album. That's how a lot of artists think, you know?
Yes.
Or they'll do the other thing and they'll do singles game. But you had the foresight to be like, yo, let's 2 albums in 1 year. We can re-up.
We'll re-up. And we're gonna see other things, because we're just putting our toes in the water. Because I have guys around me that are older that will do, let's load everything up, and you're not going to catch anything. Like, I'm seeing how the culture is moving at the same time. Like, there's advantage to the older dudes, there's advantage to the younger dudes. So I'm watching, you know, my nephews and all these people around me. Like, I know what Instagram is. I feel young enough, although my age, and this is our cheat code with like even a Griselda, I'm young enough to be fully involved into those things. You know, I might not do all the crazy TikTok shit. Hell nah. But that's I'm not dancing or nothing on the shit, but you see how fast shit is moving. Like, yo, this is only lasting for this amount of time. And then now when you look at from 2017 to 2022, it's lasting even shorter amount of time, because there's a much more people that are doing what we do. There's a lot of competition out there from 2017 to 2022. And that's Griselda's doing too, right? And us. Like, we all got to take credit for that, because there's a whole bunch of people now you see, they're doing it. I'm seeing it in my city. That's like, yo, I didn't know, like, this type of rap, like, I'm happy this is here, because I want to, you know, I I do my show, and boom, people come to the show to connect. And it's like, all right, so let's move. Let's do something. Let's make a movement.
Yeah, and I think, and like, it's something you said there as well, very interesting. Like, you know, the people who are, you know, the OGs, they got their way of doing everything. And you put everything, like, let's hit them as hard as we can. But then you're putting all your eggs in one basket, right? And you also say you were in between generations. The younger guys are doing the singles game. And you found this perfect little middle ground where you're like, I'm going to give you enough to eat off. But once you've done that meal, we're going to give you a next meal. And we're going to keep you full.
Keep eating. And I see that
those not even full, keep you eating.
And this is the thing. And then you see those guys are actually making some money. When I saw a vinyl thing come through, I'm like, these guys are selling these out just themselves. I'm like, yo, so now you give me the thought of mathematically what you make, you eat off of. So now the game is, yo, how much you can make in quality, you can eat off. You determine how much you make. You know what I mean? Like a guy like fucking, let's see, like Flea Lord. Maybe Flea Lord's fucking, he did the 12 albums in a year.
Yep.
And if he's getting vinyl deals for everyone, or if he says 6 of those I'll take vinyl deals and 6 of them I'll sell vinyl myself, there's no way he's not making 6 figures at least a year off that. No way.
Yeah.
So now I'm actually making money off this thing that's so hard to make money for. The drill rapper is not going to make that off music.
No, they're getting off a deal, but not off the music.
Off a deal. Exactly. He's not going to do it independently off music. He can't do it because he doesn't have the merchandise that's like that. And that merchandise with so much value and that coming around, and vinyl outsold CDs for the first time, and you're seeing all these numbers, like, oh shit, here this goes, you know? And I don't know how long that's going to last, but I'm going to fucking put my shit in. Let me put my card in. Let me put my place at the table. Let me reserve a seat. Because I'm going to do this, you know, I'm seeing it work. I'm seeing right next to, I'm seeing Danielson get all these type of deals. I'm like, oh shit, this is like this. Yo, send me one of those, man. I'm seeing Future Wave get a deal there. Yo, send me one of those. Let's go. You know, and then now it's like, okay. Oh, this is what it is. So what am I gonna do now? Oh, you young dudes that are saying you want to rap, look, this is what you can make off. Just do one project right now.
Yeah,
I'll help you do this. Yeah. So let's make an album then. Okay, you know, now you got a 27-year-old, 25-year-old now wanting to come like, oh shit, I can make a little bag off something now. It's not just for nothing. It's not amazing, or I'm only getting 1,000 views, but you're selling 300 vinyls. You might have 300 close fans that are buying your shit. Your 1,000 views equals more than the guy's 100,000 views. So what's the problem? Create your market, create it. However, you don't have to sell nothing now. You don't have to go every day on Instagram and content. I need content. I do need content, but I don't need content. I don't need to sell out for content. Right?
Yeah.
So it's like all that shit.
Because you've created a loyal customer base who comes to you actually for quality product and not so much the microwave.
Not microwave. They trust me. Like, you know, this is going to be valuable. They trust. It's almost even working in the NFT space because not only are you buying something that you trust and like, it's only 300 in the world, you know, or 500 in the world. Yeah. Like I have one of these that in 30, 40, 50, you look at anything, baseball cards, it doesn't matter. It's never that basketball, that style of fucking, someone threw out a fucking Honda Civic from 1969. You know, that shit, someone that has one fresh, that guy's selling for $1 million. Like, you know what I mean? So it always works out that way. And we're in that world. So it's like, it makes sense to me. Let's keep killing it.
It's a genius mentality. And I love to see it coming from, you know, people from the home side too. You know what I mean? Like to see the Griselda dudes and the Buffalo guys doing it. And then, like you said, like the market for it is becoming bigger every year and there's more and more people doing it. But to really see like how you guys have carved out a lane doing it, like you, Daniel, some Future Wave, like you're saying, like Ghost, LTD, you know, like the way that you guys have carved out this market where you guys really, as far as I'm concerned, are really the first ones to really push that type of merch market over here, and just to see how successful it's been for you guys and how it's actually kind of connected you guys with the people stateside doing it as well too. It's like 100%. You guys respect each other's hustle, and it's actually kind of caused you guys to almost, you know what I mean, your relationships almost kind of mend a little bit more. It's super dope to watch.
It's so organic because now you, and I realized things that make me realize is like, okay, 2018, maybe 2019, Cardi now is like, oh, I'm a fan of Griselda, Cardinal Official. I'm a fan of Griselda. Then he sees, oh, there's Canadian guys around this. Then he looks at it. So he hit us like, yo, could I set up a Zoom meeting and just talk to you guys? Right? All right, yo, let's do this. So boom, he's saying like, yo, look at those guys. Their marketing, how they market is like your marketing, and they're from a smaller place than you're from. They're from Buffalo. Toronto's a way bigger place than Buffalo. Like, how could this not work? So Cardi had just got like the VP and shit. So she was trying to entertain us with certain talks, right? So when that type of when those alarms go off in my head, like, oh, you're watching, we're little, we're not big. Like if you let Instagram and numbers tell it, your views on YouTube tell it, we're little. Why are you even looking at us if we're that little? To the trap rapper. I'm mostly talking to that trap drill rapper kid that's like, yo, you don't have no views. Yo, the kid that watches We Love Hip Hop, or the kid that, you know, that all the beasts with Top 5 and Pressa and all these, like all that kid that watches that shit. Yeah, that the kid that watches that shit is looking at us like, yo, these guys aren't doing nothing, but they're missing out. They're missing out. And I try and tell them, because I know some of those drill rappers, and I try and tell them like, yo, why don't you be the first one to bring in this merch? Why don't you get them hip to this shit? Why don't you sell a vinyl? Try it. Who cares? You might be the first one like, yo, this is cool. Look at the colors. Like, yo, you might make a whole bag off that and won't need a fucking nothing. Then everything's independent. Yep. And we're all rocking and no one's getting raped. And you don't even want to kill nobody because you're making so much money.
Yeah. And nobody's got their hands in your pocket. You're controlling your own destiny.
Right. You're not controlling your destiny off of all the bullshit, like all the drama of fucking shooting people. your money now comes with the music, how good the music is. And there's some dope drill rappers if they get their shit right. Get your shit right and really take it seriously, not just you get that joint, get serious now. Hone your craft. Come rap on my shit. I'll go rap on your shit too. I have some other shit. Oh, what you're gonna hear some little drill shit too from Ace.
Oh yeah,
just
dope.
Rapping my shit though. Like, you know what I mean? Select beats. Like, yo, let me go kill that shit. Let me show you how I dance on that one.
Hey, some of that drill shit's hard, bro. Them beats.
Of course. Like, of course. If it makes my head go like this,
then it's okay. Hard.
I'm here. Let's go.
Yep.
Let's go.
100%, man. And actually you kind of segued it perfect. But talking about like the drill scene and stuff in Toronto, this is kind of like a full kind of scale, question, but for somebody who grew up in the city, I know you're more focused on other entities as far as music goes and stuff at the time when you're a little bit younger and stuff, but like even just the climate of the city, like the gun violence, that type of stuff, like even just the way that the city has changed, like even the neighborhood you grew up in, because I mean we've all seen how Young Street and shit and gentrified and downtown gentrified, they tore down half Regent Park, but like even just the other sides of the city as more people the city becomes more inflated with more and more people moving into it. How have you seen the climate of the city change since you were a young man up to kind of now these days? Well, not to say you're not a young man now. That's
no, absolutely, absolutely. I'm young. I'm young soul in spirit and all that. So, but I'm connected to some of these young guys. But like, it's this is where it changed. And I was just talking to Fury and those guys. Outside was really outside. Like when I was Fury's generation to my generation, I was looking up to those guys. I wanted to hang out with those guys. I had to be in by a certain time, but those guys would know me. Those guys would beat me up. Those guys would send me to the store. Those guys would do all that. And when it came time for summertime, we're outside on bikes. We're a lot of outside. There was nothing really. We love video games. Sega Genesis, Nintendo, that shit was fly. But there was a time for that. It wasn't so amazing how it is now. Like, it lasts for a certain amount of time and cool. But then I was outside. Like, you love to go outside, love to play some sports, love to just be outside. And then my generation to the next generation, I blame my generation directly. Because even like, I'm 83, even like the 78s, the 80s, all those guys were with us. We're with the like 86, 87s. But then after the next one, there seems to be more of a divide. Obviously, there's going to be there's going to be older brothers and younger brothers and all that type of stuff for sure. So certain people will get caught and know certain things, family and all that type of shit. But for the most part, as a huge collective, the divide happened. And you just start thinking about the influx of like, there's after 50, like the Gucci times. And we had the year of the gun in Toronto in 2007 or 8, one of those years. I think the same year I got shot. That year was like crazy times. That's still nothing compared to what it is now, right? That was crazy for Toronto at those times. Right now, it's like double that now. And it was bad in the time before me too. In the 90s and shit, it was crazy out here, but it's still different. The aimlessness, the crazy was, for the most part, centered. Like, there's a reason why there's stories to why this happened, why this, the problems that were happening.
There was a vindication to some degree.
Right. Now it's like 8 guys strong could do a lot of damage. 8 guys strong over here, and imagine how much 8 guys strong there are. There's a lot of 8 guys strong. A lot of them. A lot of pockets, little pockets and bigger pockets that go into bigger pockets, and in between those bigger pockets, they start beefing. And then now they're back to a little pocket. There's just, the communication is just gone. So like outside now, when you go outside, the temperament, there's no humility. Like, if I get beat up by a guy that's 10 years older than me, I'm not going back home to try and shoot him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't know if that guy that's 10 years older is really beating up that guy. And if that happens, now it's a real disrespect. So it's like it might turn into something. I can't tell you. There's just too much division, you know.
Yeah.
But I know my young boys, like, they know all the dramas of what happened over there that happened there. But there's nothing that serious. Like, are you niggas really beefing over some serious type of money? Like, I don't see the money involved. It's more of like a reputation or
like a lot of pride and ego.
Pride, yeah. I can rap about it too. I got them, you know. I'm a savage. I got bodies, you know, and that turns into money now that I can rap and people know me. And I'm from, unless you're from the direct spots like Jane and Finch, like no one really cares about these other little. You have to be from a serious hood from these places to get that recognition as a rapper in Toronto, though. That's only in Toronto. Tory Lanez is not from any of these hoods. Drake is not from any of these hoods. Belly's not from any of these hoods. Who else? Weeknd's not from any of these hoods. They're making the real thing. These guys are just pawns, but they don't know it yet. Until they're gonna look back 10 years, the ones that survive and be like, yo, we're in the disco era. They're in the disco era of this time.
I love that you said that. I love that you said that. I've said that many, many times about the microwave climate of you know, we're experiencing the disco era. I truly believe of hip.
Right. And it's gonna grow because even out of disco, there's some fly shit that grew into some other fly shit.
100%.
There's gonna be ones that are gonna come out and whatever. But you know, is Pressa gonna be one of those guys that go crazy? I don't know. Maybe. They're obviously throwing money and hoping it sticks. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see. I'm curious to see what happens with all these guys because there's a lot of talent too.
Yeah.
But the real ones will come and try and search out maybe even that J. Cole lane, that Kendrick lane. They're gonna start playing with the artistic. Like, if this is what you want to do, you can be greasy and all that type of shit, and you want to make that shit. You can't sound like all of them all the time. Separate yourself. Go and get nasty. Go and rap your ass off on something where they'd be like, "Oh shit," you know, not just da 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 da, like all that little fucking Woody Woodpecker shit with a melody. You know, like get out of here.
Well, see, and I think two things you said actually were really important. I mean, one, the fact that when you say communication, I think that's one of my lead sayings. I really, you know, anybody on my team I always lead with, and really is one of my philosophies of life. But most wars and quarrels happen over miscommunication. If I could think of anybody I've really had beef with, especially people I was close with who I've ended up with serious issues with, it usually just boils down to miscommunication. A lot of times that miscommunication boils down to pride. One man too proud to bring an issue to the other man. It piles on to other things that then look as disrespect. The next thing you know, a year and a half later, two people who are brothers absolutely hate each other because of miscommunication. Something
You got it. You've lived it. You know it. You said it. You broke it down perfectly. That happens too much.
Another thing I found interesting, you know, saying, you know, we're in the disco era, but, you know, the disco had some bangers, right? And this could be a controversial opinion, but I must say, if we're going to talk about gems from the disco era as a prime example of what you're talking about, Michael Jackson made damn near his best piece of work in the disco era. Let's not pretend Off the Wall ain't better than Thriller, all right?
That's who I thought about right away. I'm like, yo, like what? Like you can't be like, that's created gems, and it will create gems artistically. That's why how you get everything's a cycle, just like the cycle of our music coming back. Like, you know, it's gonna go again. It's gonna disappear. It's gonna everything gets oversaturated and disappears. The reason why it becomes oversaturated because it was good.
Yeah.
And then it goes to a place where it's like, what the fuck? You just took this to oblivion. Like, get the fuck out of here. And then someone's gonna create something that's gonna again get oversaturated and it's just how it is, man.
It all goes in cycles, man.
It does.
It's that one of my mentors, I'm not sure if you know him, but Chris Got Rocks. He used to run the big ticket shows out here. But that's one thing, you know, since day one, since I met him, he said, just keep doing what you do because you do it good. And eventually when things cycle back, you'll be there on top of your game, ready to be there.
You'll be the first one going. You already seen it. All right, let's go. Right.
And, you know, and one thing I want to say too, man, is, you know, I had a lot of points for the in-between, just talking about like different things throughout your music career and stuff. And, you know, how certain things got put into play and stuff. But you're such a great interview subject. You kind of covered the majority of it as we were talking about other things. You're like, you know, you kind of covered a lot of it. But before I kind of move to, near the end of this, there are two people specifically I did want to ask about, because you already covered Cardi. But I was curious where your relationship with Lord Fury, like how far you guys go back, how you guys became so close.
Okay, so Lord Fury, now, this is what's crazy. So Lord Fury is he's an icon in the city without really knowing that he's an icon. Like, he's just a street legend, straight. And people don't know him by Lord Fury, not everyone. He has various names, right? I'm not going to put all his names out there, but he's known very well, very, very well. He's a Rasta. Like, he has that community. He studied a lot. He knows the NOI community. He knows the 5% community. He knows the Jewish community. He knows the Russian community. Like, this guy, he knows elites of, like, when it comes to just street, he just is the street. And like I said, like, he's a dour guy though. So, like, I've always been around. So we lived in the same building without knowing we lived in the same building. But us coming together now, like, he messed with Wu-Tang, right? So that's someone I always see, like, oh, there's this Canadian dude, boom, boom. And then some people in my other buildings that I lived in be like, oh yeah, I saw you in the video with Lord Fury, like, without knowing him like that. And then there's this artist, Kid Cole, that he worked at Merciless. And when I started getting back in this realm, he's like, yo, he'd always be like, yo, you remind me of Fury, man. You're like the younger Fury. Like, I have to link you with Fury. I'm like, yo, I've been seeing Fury around. Like, my brother-in-law, he's another street legend. He knows Fury, right? And the thing about street legends is that they don't give credibility to that easy. It's hard for them to give credit to people.
Yeah.
I'm one of those people that's not like that. Like, if I see that thing in you, I'm generous to, like, until you break that from me. Yeah. I'm a little more generous. But these type of people are just not like that. Like, like, they know too much people already, and they're just they're gonna be tough with you the first time you meet them a lot of times, just to see who you are. So Kid Cole had like this, he was doing like some type of thing where he's talking about like a documentary type of thing, and he wanted me to do like a freestyle in it. And I did it. And he's like, yo, I'm going to shoot this other part at Merciless, and I want you to come over there. I was like, all right, cool. And I went over there, boom, and I'd heard about Merciless, everything. And, I actually I was at ODB's son's birthday, like a week before, and Merciless was there, right? So,
oh, wow. So this is when you first meet Merciless, too.
Right.
That's the other person I was going to ask you.
That's the other person, right? So I'd already seen them, and like, there's so much people in between that we know. Like, it's like people but you don't know, But there's like, I just say natural mutual respect. You know them, It's a passive cross, but not really got into depth of where we are now. So then, now I'm in there. It's like, yeah, I know that joint and Now, we're talking more. Oh, yeah, you were there. I saw you there. Yeah, I know. Put on that joint, and I went crazy. I know he put on the Cool G rap joint, the Mobb Deep and Cool G rap. My nana seemed like it's a time to dream. My nana seemed like it's a time.
Jackie, you want to rip up?
Jackie, you want to rip up? The human organism lifter, you be hearing organs if you're leaving orphans with you. Yeah, that type of shit. So I was hearing that shit. I remember I was going crazy, like, oh, he played this shit. All right, cool. Like, and we're at ODB's son's birthday, who's also a son. So it was like a cool night. And I remember he had the Wu-Tang, they have the Moon Crickets jacket and shit. I'm like, yeah, these guys are Wu-Tang niggas. Like, so I always seen them that. So now we enter the basement, and then, boom, Fury comes through, and Fury comes in like, yo, there's Asun. Like, yeah, I heard about you, boom, boom. Like, yeah, man's telling me he's like you, He didn't really give me though. It was already starting to joke around, like, and it was just a natural common, like, you're from where I'm from. It was kind of like a common feeling right away. So I never got the pressure. And he knew my brother-in-law, and it's like all those type of things, like, oh yeah, that, yo, and then, yo, and it went into those modes, and then we played like some music, and he's like, yo, you're crazy. And, I'm seeing all the plaques, I'm seeing all the people on Merciless's wall and all these, I'm like, yo, you guys are working with the people I want to work with, And at the time, they were working on an album with Kid Cole with Freeway and Kid Cole. So then they asked me to be a part of that. And then, like, you know, like Merciless is fucking like 80 wheel turns from where the fuck I live. So I'm like, yo, why the fuck am I going to the West to record? At the time, salute my brothers, Soundsmith brothers, Kool-Aid and Why Not. At the time, I was recording all the way at Why Not's crib in fucking Mississauga to get that comfort, right? So I'm going all the way to the West, going out there at fucking like 12 and coming home when the sun is up. Now I can just go down the fucking street. So that changed a lot. So now I'm just gonna go all the time. You know what I mean? All the time. So now we're a relationship where it might be 4 years with each other, maybe 3 years with each other, 4 and change with each other really seriously. But it's 4 years, 4 days a week, 5 days a week. So that like almost fast forwards. I talk to Fury almost every fucking day. Like he talks my ears off like every day. And then on top of it, we have other businesses that are very similar. And then it's like, oh, and then we like business. So it's like, yo, you want to invest in this? Like big investments. Like, yo, you want to buy that business? Yo, let's do it. Like that type of shit. So now we're playing in a league that not everyone could play in, right? So now when and then you get to see someone like in their character. Now we're doing road trips and we're doing all types of shit. And it's like, you know, I see him meet new people and how he gives people the 8th degree, like, yo, da-da-da, and how he is. I'm like, yo, how come I never got that shit? Like, how come you didn't treat me like that? You're nervous? I was making you nervous? Like, you knew I was real. Like, no, but he's like, yo, just like, it's always been jokes, like, you know? So it's like, seeing that, like, that bond is, when you're supposed to meet people and you're supposed to meet them a long time, it's like, there's plenty of times we could have intersected, like a million times. We were at things like, you were there? Like, yeah, I was there. You were there? Like, 1,000,001 things we could have passed through and the time got right. And that's what I say even about a brother like Mav. Like, Mav is across the board. That's someone that's supposed to know no matter what. And we're going to get even closer and closer. And, like, it comes down to point, like, you know, where it's like, yo, I'm giving his daughter birthday shouts and, like, you know, like in video, or she graduated and stuff. And, like, you know, and it's like these type of bonds, it doesn't matter when it happens. The reason why you have day ones is because you had to have that. Like, if my mom didn't live next to you, nigga, you wouldn't be my friend. You know, at the end of the day. Yeah, proximity. Like, you're going to be my day one. But as you get it older, like, now I have friends that are basically day one. It's hard for me to have day ones, first of all, how much I moved. Yeah. Right? But, like, people that I've known for 25, 30 years, right? For sure, that are a closest friend, my best man in my wedding. And we love hip hop and we talk about that, but he's not rapping, right? So our interests, as far as he's not a rapper, he would be a rapper. This nigga should rap, though. I always tell him he would be a rapper if you fucking sacked up and rap, but he's not a rapper. So naturally, I'm gonna always be around. They have my interest, like, you know what I mean? I'm gonna be there. Like, we're gonna go chill at the studio for 12 hours.
You got common interests, common goals.
Right. And we might not even record, but we're in the studio listening to music. Like, it's just the same shit. You know what I mean? We don't go to a 9 to 5. Like, we don't do that. Like, we don't have the cycle of life that certain people have. And nothing against them. Everyone's different. It's just what it is and the maturity of what's happening. So, yeah, it's ill. It's really ill that we came through and where we're at right now and how much life we've lived. That, like, especially, let's say we're younger, might be even more competitive. You know what I mean? Like, especially of getting money. Like, yo, I'm going to get more money than you. Like, you know, like, when I was young, I might have been on that stupid shit like that. Like, yo, I have to, that's why people get fucking middlemaned out and etched out, because they just want to have more money than the next guy when you have enough money. You know what I mean? Shit like that. And that dumb shit could end relationships too. Yep. So it's perfect timing, man. I got my tribe. I always say it. I got my tribe and we're rocking. It's over. It's over. We got the perfect people. Like, it's over. There's nothing that's going to stop us as far as Toronto, network, and creating income. Like, I don't have to rap for income. So that's the best part about it, is that we're going to create income. We're going to create something that we love to do. And it's going to be in true form. It's not going to be contrived. And we want to bring people in. Like, come eat. Like, yo, you promoting, like, oh, you want this part of the show, you do this part. Even if you do the same thing as me, come, let's go. You're good. I fuck with you. I know some people, let's do it. Let's continue this. And that's all literally what we're doing. We got a lot of people around us and some artists too that are like, I can't wait till you guys hear them. Shout out my man Ashton Francis. You're gonna hear this guy on some of my new joints. Oh, crazy.
It's actually, once again, like I said, man, you're very good at almost directing where I'm gonna go without knowing where I'm gonna go. But actually, the last question I was gonna ask you, I had another one I was gonna ask first, but we'll skip here since you just said it. But who are some of the artists in the city who you think people should have their eyes on?
Snacks. He's actually a Rochester, Toronto, both. Snacks. He's actually Family Gang Black's younger brother. Nasty.
He's nasty too. He's nasty. Yeah.
Black Nazi, nasty. I mean, the whole collective, man. Falcon Outlaw, those brothers are going crazy. No Face Crew, New Villain. Lord Juco. Lord Juco is snapping out here. Who else? Soze. Oh, Highway 308. Finn just did an album with him, and I'm featured on there. Juco's featured on there. HWY 308 and Finn. Anyone go get that album? It's fucking dope. He's nasty. He's actually Juco's close homie.
Okay.
He's really nasty. And he used to be out here too in Toronto.
You put me onto that actually, because I hadn't heard of that. A lot of the guys you named we've actually had on the show, like shout out Falcon Outlaw, had that Juco as well. But I hadn't heard of the Highway. What'd you say?
Highway 308. HWY 308.
Okay.
Check that guy. Me on that. Nasty. We got, like I said, my brother Ashton. You're gonna hear more from him. He has some stuff out, but when you hear him on what we're doing too, like on this shit, because he's like his frame, he's like J. Coley in a certain way where how he's creating, but he's from the hood. He's from Malvern. You know what I mean? So it's like he has that. He comes from our time too. Like he's still 89, 90. He comes from that time. He's gross. And he fuck with Boy Wonder and all those type of guys. Who else? Oh, I heard some dope people too that are from J. I don't know nothing about them, but I heard a track from them and they're really nasty. And I reached out to them, and I hope that we do something too. I heard one song from them and it was really nice. His name's Ryan Blades, and it's Blades. Ryan Blades. Check that. He has something like Malice in the Palace or something. Yo, that joint. I didn't even know they're from Toronto. I heard it on Joe Budden's podcast. That shit was nasty. Word. Yeah, that shit was nasty. Like he can rap his ass off. And he said in the joint, like they're saying Philly or something. I'm like, oh, these Philly guys are going in. Who is this? And then all of a sudden they stopped the track and he shouted out Jane and Finch. I'm like, what? Jane and Finch? Nah, this is Toronto. Like there's only one Jane and Finch I know. So boom, and then I looked them up and I found them and I start. This is who I am. When I hear something, I know. I'm going to fucking reach out. Right. I'm going to do research and check you out. And I'm going to come fuck with you. I'm going to slide over there. Like when I first met Danielson. All right. Yo, I saw you on the same blog I'm on. He has Toronto in the back of his picture. I was like, what the fuck? Who's this? Yo, so what's going on? I slid over there in the Jag. I'll come see those niggas in the Beamer. And that's what the fuck is going to happen. We're going to connect. And the worst part, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But I wish everyone the best. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's how we move. And let's make some music. Music's timeless. At the end of the day, it's etched in stone. They can't take it away. So, yeah. Raz Fresco doing this thing too.
Shout out to Raz Fresco, another friend of the show.
Yeah. All those dudes right there. Who else? Yeah. That's pretty much the other dudes that you're going to hear from me. You'll hear them when the time is right. And they'll come and do some show work too. We have them right.
Dope, man. And sure. That was supposed to be the last question, but I mean, you segued it perfect, so we went there. But so I'm gonna end it with this. But with the consistency you've been putting out, I mean, you guys already this year. For one, I gotta say that record was still you and Merciless did. That shit is crazy.
Salute. That was off a whim too. Like that was like that was brother Mark started. I'm wearing a shirt right now, the beloved ones. Merciless invited me. I didn't even know what I was doing. Invited me to wear a suit. I'm like, a suit, nigga? Like, yo, I had lost a lot of weight. So when I wear a suit now, I'm gonna want to get it. I'm not all the time going somewhere where I wear a suit every day. So I'm gonna want to get it tailored and tailored right. Yeah. And then I didn't have time to do that. And I remember I think I was hungover and shit. I had a rough night. I didn't take it seriously. And then all of a sudden I see Master T. I'm seeing like Sherman Hamilton from the Raptors. I'm seeing all these legends in the city coming into this place. I'm like, what the fuck am I at? And then I see Steel walk in. I'm like, oh shit, what's happening? I'm fucking probably still drunk, like from the night before. And I'm like, yo, holy shit. All right. So then boom, I'm like, yo, Merce, why are you inviting me to this shit? Like, and to be honest with you, I'm in the street, but like on that commercial level, at the moment, I felt like I didn't belong in the first moment. Like, I don't belong. And then I thought about it. I'm like, because Merce came up to me. He's like, yo, why are you the fucking flyest one here? Like, how do you have a suit like this? Like, who are you? Like, and I'm like, yo, I'm me. It's me. So it made me realize, like, this is exactly where I belong, and Free the City. I'd just seen Master T. I've been having communications with Cardinal. Like, all these things that's like adding up. I'm like, this is exactly where I'm supposed to be. I belong here, and then I was talking to Steele. I'm like, yo, when I opened up for you in Quebec, like some shit happened with me and Tech where they confused me and Tech for looking. This girl thought I was Tech, and she like took a picture and tagged Tech and all types of shit. So it was like funny. And like, we talked about that moment. So I just thought it was like some event. And then the next day he hits me up and he's like, yo, or a week later, he's like, yo, we're going to do this song. And I'm in the studio, like recording my shit. He's like, yo, put on the beat. He's like, yo, I didn't send you this beat because in the time when he was here, because you just write too fast. I know once you come to the studio, you're just going to knock it out. And it's like, there's a concept to it and everything. And Steel was already on it. And I was like, okay. So I did it real quick. And then like Steel's coming back and we're going to shoot the video. Like, okay. And that's what's dope about having big brothers that are there for you, like, looking out for your best interest. I had no clue about what that was and how big it was going to be. And it was on TV and City TV and all types of shit. So I was like, okay, cool. And then, and then on top of it, my brother Merce has a big project with me and the Butcher, me and Benny, coming out very soon. We actually got right before maybe 2019 Benny versus. He like Fury got them. Fury got him saying like Scarborough niggas, like Fury. So, like he's yelling like this is a very cohesive album. This is not some verses, whatever. So we got a project, me and Benny, and there's gonna be a lot of other people on it too. Some dope people that I'm not gonna let too much out the bag, but me, Merciless, and Benny. That's coming out this year. My next shit that's coming very soon. I have a single dropping on Friday featuring Riggs over a Wavy to God beat. I've been teasing some of the Wavy to God joints from the end of last year, where's the Mayo and Evolving. Now this is the third one, and then I have another video coming out at the end of probably mid-April, and then I'm going to drop the project, and you're going to get vinyls, and that's sold through Future Wave. Future Wave is pushing those vinyls. He actually backed the album, so it's going to be. We're operating. We're Voltron out here. So
that's crazy, man. And do you know what's funny?
Project, right.
You literally segued it. That was my last question, is what's coming this year. So keep telling me.
I felt it.
Got it, bro.
So now we do that. And then once I drop that, you know me, I'm good for 4 projects a year minimum. So I just like picking my spots. So those 2 are definitely coming in before the third quarter. And third quarter, you're going to get me, Vinyl Villain, and my brother Lex Talionis. He used to go by Fresco P. You might know Lex. You might have heard him. Unfortunately, he's locked up and he's going to be doing a lot of time. But he's standing tall. We got him. He has like 8 albums, and I have them, and I'm going to be putting them out strategically. So when we get to where we're supposed to be going, when he comes out and meets us, everyone's going to know who he is, So, man. And he's dynamic. Like he is. The best way to describe him, and this is still not him, is Busta Rhymes and DMX in one. With a little bit of fucking reggae influence on top of it, which is kind of like the Busta Rhymes. So It's Busta Rhymes, DMX, and One. He is fucking an animal. And Vinyl Villain and him, we're gonna drop it through Copenhagen. Salute Copenhagen. Yeah, man. We got a lot. So those 3 this year guaranteed. And then I got like 8 other albums, and we're gonna see what comes up after that. We got a lot of shit and a lot. I can't wait for because all this shit that's coming out is like 2020 work, maybe. You guys haven't even got 2021 work, 2022 work. When you get my 2021 and 2022 work, it's gonna be a problem out here. I'm just getting better and better. So as you're just gonna follow my journey, you're gonna see through where I'm going. Like, you know, you're gonna be like, oh, this is better than the last one. Like, watch when you see where I am right now. So to that point, you know, you might get some features with some of the new shit. Like even the features that have been dropping, and it's like old verses. At the end of the day, it's still 2020 shit that those people are putting out. But when you get the new shit, it's gonna be beautiful, man. We're just here. We're killing it, you know, and hopefully this place opens up and we get some more shows. Well, we definitely have shows coming, and that you guys can. And I'm gonna have those brothers. You're gonna get to see Riggs. You're gonna get to see a Mav. You're gonna get to see maybe a Flea Lord. You might get to see a Rome's. Maybe, you know, we have plans in mind. You might even see some older act. You might see Tragedy Gaddafi. You might see, you might see a Ghostface. You might see. Like, when I say that Lord Fury is a different type of guy, like...
He knows a lot of people.
A lot of people. And he talks to them, like, they call him, like, FaceTime. Like, you know, like, yo, man, what do I do? What should I use? Yo, could you send me this food? Yo, could you... That's Fury, man. Fury is just you call him for answers, man. You got a question? You ask him. So when I see my legends calling him, like, yo... He's asking you about that? Like, yeah, man. Like, you know, so what else do I need? I got Fury right beside me. I asked him all the questions, you know, whenever in doubt. So with that being said, man, there's a lot of, we want to bring that feeling to the city. And we want to have some shows, and people like you, you know, you have a good interview, man. Like, you actually, I could tell you heard the other interviews. You didn't just come to me with the same questions. I'm always wary about interviews for the same questions.
Yeah.
But and it's hard not to have same questions, but how you moved it. You said, hey, I know you said stuff about this, and when it's Toronto, I can't not interview for Toronto. So in the city, like, you know, in Canada, I have to. So, and you have a good interview. I watched your KGR. I watched the Cool G Rap one.
Did you?
Yeah, I seen your excitement, and we actually opened up for him on that show.
Yeah, because you were signed for Soze.
Yeah, Soze and Danielson. Yeah.
So we're in the same building.
Yeah,
you know,
we're in the same place. Yeah, we got our picture up there. We're up there with him. You know, we talked to, we chopped it up with him a little bit. And you got the interview, man. You're there drinking your beer. You're fucking, I could tell you're hyped. You're giving him all his fucking lines. You're rapping them all. That's why when I said, oh, nah, that seems like it's a time to Dream BC date you, I knew you were going to go off. I knew it. So that's dope, man. Keep doing what you're doing. I love seeing it. I'm a researcher, so I'm going to look up what I'm going on, right? So Your official tissue, man. You've been researching the whole culture. You know what you're doing. Keep on doing it.
Hey, salute, man. I appreciate that a lot, man. And even furthermore, I really appreciate your time. It was a great conversation. And my man, you know, I got lots of stuff we could have talked about. So you know, I'd love to have you back on the show again in the future. I know I know you're always working. Like you said, you're always 8 projects behind. So I know that you're always going to have new stuff. So, you know, the door's always open. Would love to have you on the show again. And furthermore to what you're saying about events and shit, you know, I'd love to come out if, you know, let me know when you're doing them. I can come out, cover them. You know, I can come out, take pictures, do some video, put some shit on the radio, whatever.
Let's do that. So when we got some more stuff organized, we're going to come talk. We're going to come promote. I'm going to have the Fury. I'm going to have Merciless with me. Yep. And then we're gonna do some promotion. We're gonna bring the show when the show is right. I have a serious show I'm trying to plan, and we're gonna come give it to you.
Dope. I'm down, man.
We're gonna have you involved. Let's go.
I'll bring one of my dudes. He can do pictures, video. I can come backstage, do interviews with people.
Let's go.
You know, all that.
Let's go. Let's do it.
I miss events.
Me too, man. Me too. I'm excited. Let's do it, man.
Asun, very appreciate your time very much, my man.
Much love. Thank you.
Bless, my man. Thank you for being the first guest on Toronto Time, man. You set the shit off.
Hey, Thomas. Taking virginities all over the place. I've been doing that.
And before I do like let you go, I'll cut this piece out too. But can I just get you to do a quick drop for the show? Just
absolutely.
Wreckords Radio and however you want to stylize it.
Let's go. You ready?
Yep.
You are now tapped in with Breaking Wreckords Radio, live from the fucking East Side. You know who it is, Mr. Asun Eastwood. Come on.
Woo! Yo, I'll tell you this straight up. You're one of like 5% of people who nailed it first shot.
Yo, you know why? You know why? When we went to DJ fucking Eclipse show out there for the Shade 45, and they made us do Shade 45 and they made us do Premiere. Yeah. And like I fumbled that, like they had a script and everything. I fumbled that like 2-3 times.
Really?
And then they said the same thing, like, yo, don't worry. Like barely anyone gets it on their first shot. I'm like, I'm never gonna be that guy. I'm going to fucking have this down pat. So that's why I worked on that shit.
That's funny, man. That's funny. And actually, before you actually go to actually, interview is done. So hold on. Let me just stop recording.